What's up, guys? Gerard Fabiano here, and today I'm going to talk to you about my Legacy experience. Yesterday I played a Legacy tournament at the Bearded Dragon in Bernardsville, New Jersey. Shout out to the Bearded Dragon, really good store. The previous video that I made talked about the Blue Moon or the Madcap Moon deck that I played at the Team Unified Modern Grand Prix in San Antonio, where myself, Ben Lundquist, and Eli Cassis came third place. But today it was an individual event, or actually yesterday it was an individual event, and it was Legacy. The deck I decided to play was Miracles. I know my teammate Eli just won the Open with Miracles last weekend, I believe it was, and I wanted to play Miracles. I enjoy playing Miracles, and about 4 months ago I made top 8 at an Open with Miracles. It was a different build. I played with Nahiri and Emrakul the Promised End. If you hear somebody chirping in the background, it's my pet bird Sky. So hopefully it doesn't annoy you too much. So I went to the tournament, I don't want to say with high hopes, but I do enjoy playing Miracles, and I felt that I was pretty prepared for the tournament, and I wanted to play well, and I was hoping to make top 8. So I'm going to give you a quick rundown of what happened in the tournament, how my rounds played out, why I chose to play certain cards. Briefly, I'm going to go over the sideboard that I played. I played 2 copies of Blood Moon. I think Blood Moon is a really good card in Miracles. I like it over any of the other type of land destruction effects, such as Ruination or the new Ruination, which I can't think of the name, where it destroys all non-basic lands and players are able to search a deck for basic lands. I played 3 copies of Meddling Mage. I think Meddling Mage is a great card, just because there is a lot of combo decks in Legacy, such as Reanimator or Aloran or Storm, and Meddling Mage really gives you an option to fight against these combo decks in a certain way where you're normally not able to fight against them. For example, say somebody brings in a Defense Grid against you, or a Xanthias Swarm. Well, those cards are really good against counter spells, and normally combo decks will have something of those effects to combat counter spells, even something as simple as a Cabal Therapy. But when you have a card like Meddling Mage, you really take the aggressive approach, and you're proactive, and you kind of fight their combo in a different way. Also, it's a blue card, always can pitch it to Force of Will. 1 copy of Surgical Extraction. Sometimes I like playing more than 1 copy of Surgical Extraction. I decided to kind of, cut down on Surgical Extraction. Is it a good call? Is it a bad call? Well, when you have Meddling Mage, that kind of takes the place of a card like Surgical Extraction. And with Emrakul the Promised End in the main deck, and I actually played 2 main deck Pyroblast, I'm pretty good against Miracles. I think I'm good in the Miracles mirror match. And I'm not a fan of bringing in Surgical Extraction in the Miracle mirror match anyway. Some people have to do it because they don't really have a lot of cards for the mirror match, and they think it's pretty good to get your opponent's counterbalance or get your opponent's Pyroblast. Personally, I'm not a big fan. 1 copy of Wear and Tear, really good against Death and Taxes, really good against some type of Eldrazi deck. Super versatile. 1 copy of Containment Priest. A Moat, obviously great against Eldrazi, pretty good against Elves, although they do have Reclamation Sage, but it's just a good card in general. I would not bring it in against Death and Taxes. They have Flicker Wisps, they have Sarah Avenger, but still a good card in general. Copy of Supreme Verdict, kind of like the 5th Wrath of God, playing for main deck Terminus, and I actually have a main deck Engineer Explosives. 1 extra copy of Pyroblast. Another copy of Emrakul the Promised End. Not too sure if it's good to have 2, but it's so good in the Miracles mirror match. Really good against lands. Again, I don't know if the whole Emrakul strategy is good or not, but right now I'm still trying it out. 2 copies of Force of Will in the sideboard because I only wanted to play 2 main deck Force of Wills. My theory for that is, okay, there's going to be a lot of Death and Taxes, and Forcible is pretty bad against Death and Taxes. I also thought there was going to be a lot of Delver type decks, and Forcible is not really good against Delver type strategies where it kind of comes down to an attrition battle. Attrition battle meaning, hey, if we're trading 1-for-1 on cards, if I have to use 2 cards to stop your 1 card, that's not going to be that great. So I decided to go with 2 Forcibles main deck and 2 on the side. And then finally, my last hybrid card was a Blue Elemental Blast. Alright, so let me give you a quick rundown of the tournament. I'm going to keep all these videos to 10 minutes or less. Last video was like 20 minutes. It was my first video. And I'm hopefully going to start editing these videos so I can have like some deck lists right there and some card images. But we'll see what happens. Alright, round 1, I sit down. My opponent leads off with Plains Aether Vial, so he was obviously playing Death and Taxes. I ended up winning the match 2-0, and both games he kind of got stuck on either 1 or 2 lands. I talked to him after the match, and he said, hey, you know, both times my hand was a 1-lander with Aether Vial, and I think you can't really mulligan those types of hands because your deck is so based around Aether Vial that if you do have Aether Vial in your opening hand along with some creatures, you're probably going to keep it. Round 2, I sit down hoping to play against maybe a blue deck because I have main deck Pyroblast. Instead, my opponent led off with Wooded Foothills, Bayou, Deathrite Shaman. So at this point, you're probably like 95% sure he's playing Elves, could be playing some type of Jund type deck. Turns out he was playing Elves. It went to 3 games, but it ended up winning that matchup as well. I think the matchup against Elves is in Miracle's favor. You have Terminus, which is really good against them. I have an Engineer Explosives, Supreme Verdict, you have Swords to Plowshares, and Counterbalance is really annoying for them as well. So I ended up winning that match, so I was 2-0. Round 3, I got paired up against a Delver player. It was Grixis Delver. And Pyroblast is pretty good against them. It's not insane because they do have cards like Deathrite Shaman, they have Young Pyromancer, they have Gurmag Angler, but it went to 3 games, and the MVP, pull it out of my sideboard, was this card right here. Blood Moon really won me the match. I lost game 1, but the whole thing with those decks is that since they are, you know, Grixis Delver, splashing green for maybe Abrupt Decay, maybe, you know, the use of Deathrite Shaman, whatever the case may be, they're not going to be playing many basic lands. If any, maybe they'll have like 1. So Blood Moon was really good in that matchup, and it won me the match. So I was 3-0. I got paired up in round 4 against another Delver player, and this was more of like a Sultai Delver, but he also had Lightning Bolt. I guess it was just the 4-color Delver decks that everyone's playing. Again, I don't want to sound like repetitive, but this card right here again won me the match. So I was 4-0. Round 5, this was basically winning in. I played against a White Eldrazi deck, player by the name of Morgan. Shout out to Morgan. He played a really unique type of deck. It wasn't the standard White Eldrazi deck, and he ended up making top 8. I think he went in as first seed. I played against him. It was a close 3 games, but he ended up beating me. He had one too many Reality Smashers. I mulliganed game 3. You know, it's Magic. It's really difficult to just win, let's say, 2 in a row, 3 in a row. I ended up winning 4 in a row. So my 5th round, it was sometimes when you play Magic, sometimes it's just like your turn or your time to mulligan, your time not to top deck. It's just, Magic's a game of chance. Of course, it's a skill game as well. But it was a good match against Morgan, and he defeated me, so I was 4-1. Standings went up, and I was pretty low on my tiebreakers, so I had to play the next 2 rounds. I needed to go win-win. I ended up getting paired up against Lance, which is a great matchup. He actually put me on Sultai, and he made a risky type play with his Dark Depths. I had the Swords to Plowshare. I mean, I guess he kind of had to go for it. And I easily won against Lands 2-0. And then in the last round, I couldn't draw in. I was the 5-1 that could not draw in. Got paired against Miracles, finally. Really good matchup. Main deck Pyroblast, main deck Emrakul the Promised End. So I won that match 2-0. I made top 8. In top 8, played against a deck called Bomberman. Makes infinite mana. It's a vintage type deck, but you're able to play Lion's Eye Diamond instead of Black Lotus, and you end up winning with Walking Ballista, getting infinite mana. So I played against that in the top 8. I ended up losing in the top 8. I could have definitely played better. My meddling mages weren't really on point. I was kind of unfamiliar with the deck. I actually didn't even know what he was playing before the top 8 started. But overall, it was a really good experience. Miracles is obviously good in Legacy. If you are a Miracles player, if you want to try out some of my changes, go for it. If you're not a Miracles player, but you just love Legacy, come out to the Bearded Dragon next time they have a Legacy event. They normally do, if you're from the Jersey area. So we have a couple of events coming up. We have Grand Prix Richmond, which is limited. So starting, I guess, this Friday, I'll be practicing a lot of limited. Go to the pre-release, and then obviously play on Magic Online. And then after that is Pro Tour Nashville. So, I'm already trying to brew in my head Standard. We'll see how things go. And so those are my main 2 focus is Grand Prix Richmond, May 5th, and then Pro Tour Nashville the weekend after. Afterwards is Grand Prix Montreal. We'll see what happens. I did win Grand Prix Montreal a few years ago, so every time there's a Grand Prix in Montreal, I feel like I want to go just to, maybe do a repeat. Obviously, super difficult to win a tournament. The winner of the tournament yesterday was actually Ted. Ted Felicetti played Miracles. He ended up getting first place. So, good job to him. Just because, when you're entering a tournament with nearly 100 people, your odds are kind of about 1%. Sure, you could say, if you're a more skilled player, your odds might go up to 4 or 5% to win a tournament. But it's still really difficult. But overall, Miracles was the deck I played. I went over my sideboard. And just wanted to make another video. So thanks for watching. Make sure you guys subscribe to my channel. And give me like one more video, then I'm almost certain that I'll be able to do some editing and the videos will look really nice. So I'm trying to build up the YouTube channel, make some really good content, and that's basically it. All right, I know I said 10 minutes, but I went over. Make sure you hit that sub button, and that's it. All right, guys, thanks a bunch. Take it easy.